What's up, world? It's your girl Queen with another episode of What I Said. This week, we're talking about marriage or just the lifelong commitment to each other without the paperwork and the courthouse and the flower girls and all the extra stuff that marriage comes with. So, the topic is basically marriage or not. I personally feel like when you put a title on your relationship, something especially as strong as marriage, it kind of gets difficult. I feel like you can build a solid foundation and have a spiritual marriage. You don't have to file paperwork. You don't have to have the big wedding. You don't have to have anybody standing in between you saying I do to each other. You both can go alone somewhere, take your vows together, because God hears you all the time, everywhere you are. So if you make that commitment in front of Him to each other, I feel like all the extra stuff is not needed. I do like the idea of marriage, but it's just that it's an idea. And marriage comes with a lot of work. Marriage is supposed to be forever. If you want to stick with the rules of marriage, and some people would say not break not commit a sin and get divorced unless it's infidelity involved. Marriage is very, very difficult for me, and don't even let me get started with the financial part of marriage if you do decide to have a divorce. So the question is it easier, and do you have a better chance at surviving if you don't put that strong title of marriage to it? I was looking up some information about marriage, and I found it kind of quite interesting that it was found that 28% of people felt like they were lonely and not satisfied in their marriage. Marriage doesn't prevent loneliness. Matter of fact, like the survey said, you probably feel more lonely because you have this person that you depend on and you think is supposed to be here for everything. And a lot of people are going through things themselves mentally, and I have to admit that I don't necessarily always know how to be there for somebody else if I'm going through stuff mentally. I don't know if that's even possible to do it, especially if you're going through something very, very serious. So I was just curious to see how the idea of marriage affects a relationship. I think most women want to be married because they see that fantasy, that white picket fence in the beginning, and having sex all day and just happy and going on vacations and having children, just being happy. And I really, really feel like it puts a strain on it as soon as you say I do. I personally used to think that marriages were built to fail. That's just what I thought. I mean, call me crazy, stupid, whatever you want to say. I know there are some people who have been married for years and years and years, and they're happy together. But I feel like that comes a dime a dozen. I feel like you rarely get that when you put a title, especially in this generation, when you put a title as strong as marriage on a relationship. I just personally just feel like you don't have to have that title of marriage. Now, would I say no to a ring? Hell no. But I definitely have to be very, very happy to say yes. I don't think a lot of people they admit the work it is you have to put into being married. I feel like for the woman, they definitely physically have to do way more. Not only do they have to keep their house together and the kids together and their self together, they have to be there for that man, and then you have to be there for him sexually. And so it really just makes me question, like, what's the difference between being in a committed relationship and being married? I don't think it's any different. I feel like when you're in a committed relationship and you're married, it's the same thing. You're still supposed to be faithful. You're still supposed to, I feel like, do your part. Now, do I necessarily think that women need to do women jobs. Many do know it's no such thing to me as a woman's job. A man can cook me a meal. I can help put together a bookshelf. Like, it's not, I think titles are very, very, very overrated. And having a title when it comes to being in a relationship strains, and relationships are hard already. So I was just very interested to see the numbers and see what people said about marriage and how marriages now are failing. I think the pandemic really hurt marriages, relationships altogether. The pandemic was something that put a test to a lot of different relationships, not only romantic relationships, family relationships. If you were stuck in the house with your parent or your kid, like, you were stressed out. So it really tests the strong relationships. I feel like this generation and millennials and just the younger generation, they are going to have the least amount of marriages, especially marriages that last, because we don't know how to properly handle situations, not only personally, but with other people. And to me, in a marriage or in a relationship, you have to know how to be there for other people. And again, that's what I struggle with. So I really wanted to know, like, how do you guys out there, how do you feel about, what do you think are the pros and the cons of being married? Do you feel like being married is easier? Do you feel like it's necessary? It's a goal? For me, when I look at my goals, marriage is not one of them. I don't know if because I've had so many failed marriages around me, and I see how they divorce and it gets nasty and they fight, and I'm actually literally this week have heard so many different stories about, I have family members who are going through divorces, and it's to the point where I didn't even know that it could get that nasty between them. Like, it gets crazy nasty, and I feel like, call me wrong, call me judgmental, whatever you want to say, but I feel like men cheat more than females. That's another subject for another show. But I feel like the biggest, aside from money, infidelity, and it's infidelity on the male's part, definitely is a big factor in divorces. And me personally, if I'm done with you, I don't want to have to go through a whole process just to be done with you. If I'm done with your shit, I'm going to delete the pictures. I'm going to delete your number, maybe block you, maybe change my number. I don't want to have to go through who gets what and who sees the kids. And that's just a bit much for me. It's just too much for me personally. We can still, if we're in a committed relationship, we can still get a joint account if we choose to, still make our money together. People can change their name all day long. So I could even change my name if you wanted me to. But the idea of I think it's the paperwork, and that's what makes it difficult too. And again, I say putting that title on relationships as far as marriage. Now, I love the idea that a lot of states have made the same-sex marriages legal, because I feel like if you love somebody and you feel like you want to get married, by all means, do what makes you happy. There are really some couples out here that really will last and will work, and marriage would just make things seem so much more blissful. But then again, putting a strain like that on a relationship with a lot of these couples out here, people are just so broken nowadays, it's just hard to stay together. I think a lot of the disadvantages of marriage, like I said, the infidelity part, the financial part, people who go through in between jobs and the female may not understand it and they want somebody who can fly them out, or a male wants somebody that can hold them down while he's going through something, or a female wants to be treated like a queen and not work, and the money's just not that long, or if the family doesn't like you, that makes we talked about that a couple weeks ago. If the family doesn't like you, that makes a marriage very hard. But again, if the love of the time was that, fuck the family to me, honestly. They do matter, I think. It does make, like I said, it makes the situation awkward, like when you have family outings, but at the end of the day, a relationship is between two people. They are, I would say, limitations when you are married. You females, you have to, I feel like when you're in a relationship, you have to carry yourself a different way than when you're not in a relationship. Not saying you have to be a whore, fucking everybody around when you're not in a relationship. But what I'm saying is, when you're single, you can go out and flirt, be flirty, wear specific things, do different things than you can do when you're married. A lot of men I know feel like they don't want their woman to dress a certain way because they feel like it's disrespectful. They, of course, don't want their wife coming in, or girlfriend, longtime girlfriend, coming in 3, 4 in the morning. It's limitations to your freedom, I feel like. So that's really the disadvantages, I feel like, as far as marriage. And there are some advantages. I feel like you get companionship. You do get someone you can go home to every day. You get, I feel like if you married to somebody and you commit to somebody, acceptance. They should love, flaws and all. I feel like if you're not going through financial issues, another income is always helpful. Me personally, I've always had to provide for myself, so I don't know what another income feels like. But when you have the second income, it makes a hell of a difference. I feel like the family unit is helpful when you have children. And of course, the sex. The sex, of course, in the beginning, I've heard, is amazing. I mean, if you can keep it spicy, it can stay amazing for the whole marriage, but it takes work. Marriage is work. So I say that to say marriage is a job. It's like being a parent is a job. It's like your regular job is a job. If you start your own business, it's a job. I feel like everything is a job. You're just making a career out of this relationship by getting married. Some things are a job, they're temporary, but when you say I do, that becomes a career, and that's supposed to be for the long term. So, marriage or not, for me, I don't have to have marriage. I don't have to have that paper. And if I take my vows with you and I only in front of God, and he hear me say, I promise to do this and I won't do that, and you say the same thing, and we are actually promising to each other, and God is over here, is hearing what we're saying, then I'm not going to back out on my word. That's, to me, we're a married couple. We just don't have any legal documents to say it. So comment, let me know how you guys feel about marriage. Let me know if you have been married, if you learned something from marriage, if you watched different couples go through things, because me personally, is going to sound bad, but I've never even been to a wedding. I haven't heard of a marriage that was even great. Not saying any marriage is perfect, but I haven't even heard of a marriage that was so great in my circle or my family. So I would love to even hear short little stories about how your grandparents have been together for 75 years, because I don't know that. I come from a ratchet ass family, okay? Everybody is just crazy. So comment below, let me know what you guys know about marriage. Next week, we'll be talking about who cheats the most in a relationship. Is it the man? Is it the woman? Is it African Americans? Is it Caucasians? Is it older? Is it younger? So comment. Let me know how you feel about next week's episode. Give me some ideas about how to address this topic. Comment on this episode. But until next week, y'all, peace and love.